Good morning and welcome to the FIA Formula 3 World Championship, and we are here at the wonderful Imola circuit as we get ready for what is going to be a very tasty round of this year's championship. Stand by, let's join the world feed for all of the actions. We're under the virtual safety car at the moment.
Circuit. This will give us a great view now as we come out of Piratella here and down to Acqua Minerale. This is going to be one of the biggest challenges of the weekend, taking on the elevation changes. Very narrow circuit as well, so overtaking much more challenging than it was at Bahrain. Just one DRS zone down, that start-finish straight, if you can even call it that. So qualifying is going to be very key.
Qualifying is going to be crucial. We saw that last year, that it was very difficult to overtake if you were in the middle of the pack in the DRS train. But if you get separated from DRS, then the driver from DRS ahead, then the driver behind can get a very good run down into turn one. And we saw most moves being made on the outside into turn one last year. I expect very much the same this year. Remains to be seen how powerful the DRS is. Of course, new car for 2025 this year, so slightly different configuration of these Formula 3 cars. And we're looking at the Trident team at the moment. They are the ones who have got the best handle of this car so far this year, taking both feature race wins with our championship leader, Rafa Kamara. Currently under virtual safety car. I would imagine this is to test procedures and make sure that everyone's aware of the track conditions, and it looks like we are about to go green. Oh, not quite yet.
Yeah, so the virtual safety car test just underway at the moment, and is ending. The battle for the Aramco pole position is going to be very good later. The new Aramco pole position award coming in from this round in Formula 2 and Formula 3. And there we can see we are now going under green flag. One thing I think to take into account as well, we got lots of rookies out there on the circuit. Two new drivers as well, which we'll get into. You might be able to see just to the left-hand side, James Headley and Brad Benavides. We welcome them to the championship at AIX Racing. This is a circuit, in Brad's case, we welcome him back. But this is a circuit that many drivers are familiar with from racing in F4 championships and Formula Regional championships. Unlike the likes of Australia and Bahrain, do you think that's going to create more of a level playing field from your racing experience? How much of a difference does it make when you get out there on the track walk on a Thursday and you're just more familiar with your surroundings?
It's more of a confidence thing than anything. These drivers already in Formula 3 operate at such a high level. They can get to grips with a car and a circuit combination in a number of laps, but it's extracting the final few hundredths of a second over the lap that you can get with that bit of extra confidence having been to a circuit like Imola before. And we can see demonstrated there is the elevation change we have here at Imola. Over 33 meters of elevation change over the lap. It goes up and down a lot. And the drivers who have been here a lot before, you know, they'll really feel like they can hit the ground running. It may be the first time they've driven an F3 car around this circuit for a lot of these drivers, but having laps around the circuit and other machinery really means that you know which curbs you can hit, you know which angle to hit them out, you know how the car feels when you're on a quick lap around here. And that just takes you 2 or 3 laps less to get fully up to speed, which means you can then start polishing your laps and qualifying simulations just a bit sooner than the drivers who maybe haven't been here. Some of those drivers who haven't been here before, one of those you mentioned, James Headley, he's not been here. He did one race in F3 last year, but is in for the remainder of the year. And it's good to see him on the grid as a driver I know pretty well, and we'll touch on him a bit more later on.
Yeah, some drivers haven't been here before. The likes of Christian Ho hasn't been here before either as well. Louis Sharp, Bruno Del Pino, neither. There we are looking at Noel Leon, currently on screen, getting ready to go out. Currently the Kramer Racing team, it's not been the best of starts to the season for them, just having a tricky start. But Noel Leon had a great outing here last year. He was first to the flag, so they'll be confident this year. And Rene Rosen's team will be hoping they can start turning it around this year, this first round. There is the #1 car on home soil, Brando Badaware. Well, Prema Racing, big race for them on home soil, and we spoke to their team principal, Rene Rosen, yesterday.
For us is something that we are proud. Is our home race together with Monza, less than 2 hours from our factory. So everybody, fans, even colleague, personnel are coming to visit us and join us over this weekend, and it's something that we are really looking forward to. The season start has not been the most easy, and as well not we were expecting, but the guys and drivers and engineers are working really hard together, and I think that I would say our season starting from now. We just learned the lesson from the previous 2 weekends in Melbourne and in Bahrain, and we just learn from that, learn sometimes from our mistakes, learn from something positive that we saw, and we move forward and we concentrate in Imola and this triple header.
Prema Racing, Rene Rosen speaking to us there. I mean, they're 5 times teams champions in F1 Formula 3, 3 times drivers champions. So it does come as a surprise, Piers, when we see them sat last in the teams championship. But there has only been 2 of 10 rounds, and as Rene Rosen said there, their championship, in his eyes, starts from now. They've got 2 drivers in Brando Badaware, Ugo Ugochukwu, coming in to Formula 3 as rookies, and then Noel Leon switching over to their team for the first time. How would you assess, I guess, kind of their performances so far? It's been a difficult start for them, Ugo and Brando in the wars last time out. They've got the chance in this triple header to completely reset and really get those 3 drivers up the standings.
They absolutely need to reset. I mean, very rarely do we talk about Prema not being at the front of the field, and they've really not been at the front of the field so far. What to do with the new car coming this year, maybe haven't quite got to grips with it, coupled with a bit of bad luck from their drivers, or not just putting it together when they needed to. But it's unusual, and it's just strange to see them struggling. But I'm sure, as Rene just said, they take things one race at a time, they concentrate on themselves, and they continue to improve with both the drivers' feedback and also the work at the factory. Then there's no reason why we won't see them back to their absolute best, because they are generally the team to beat in formulas like this.
As Matthias Sakazet we see on the screen, just getting some laps in early for Dam Zucas Oil. We saw this in Formula 2 last year with a new car coming in, and it just threw curveballs into the team standings and into where some teams sat. Prema Racing were one of those teams who got up to speed a little bit later in the season. ART likewise, and currently they are 8th in the standings. They're another team who will be really keen to get this one turned round going into this triple header. So let's see, there's so much to fight for, and fighting at the wheel. Gerard G, as we have our first look at this similar circuit.
Yeah, Gerard G fighting his way through the Tamburello corners there. We're going to be on a slight tailwind going into here, only about a couple of miles an hour, but it really makes the rear of the car light, fully committed through there. Then we go into Tosa, potential overtaking opportunity in the races, but it's a late apex, so you can potentially have a go. But we saw Callum Boyson last year coming into contact there, so it's a risky move. We're now heading up to the highest part of the circuit towards Piratello. A really good corner here, going a lot of speed through the middle. Watch out as the track comes up quick on the exit. Now we're dropping right downhill, a very steep drop down towards Acqua Minerale. A bit damp down here, so big tentative with Gerard Shee through the middle of that corner, using all the curve on the exit. And now we head up to the Variante Alta. It's a tricky chicane, you have to use a lot of curve. You'll see Gerard Shee use all the curve on the right. You can see the car bounce to the middle. Generally, they use a little bit less curve on the left, because they want to concentrate on traction down here as they run downhill now towards the last few corners of the circuit. The 2 right-handers of Ravazza. It's tricky braking zone, you have to brake earlier than you think. First one, the car wants to understeer. Second one, you have to turn in early, and it's all about the exit from the second Ravazza, because it's a very long straight in inverted commas, as we see it kinks right a couple of times, then left toward the end. And Gerard Shee actually goes quickest at this stage. A bit of a scrappy lap, very early on so far, still half an hour practice, and immediately Lacorte takes a couple of tenths away from him. 7 tenths, in fact. Yeah, Nicola Lacorte, home race for him. Likewise, the likes of Nicola Marinangeli. Here we can have a look at just how much curb they're taking there. Yeah, you can see. That was Gerard Shee there. We saw her on board that exact lap he was on there, taking a lot of curve through the Variante Anti-Alta. You can see the brake duct's actually completely blanked off, so cool air temperatures only about 16 degrees at the moment, so no brake cooling necessary at this stage.
Well, we welcome back to the championship in the number 28. Brad Benavides for AIX Racing was with us in 2022, racing for the now Rodin Motorsport team. Then jumped up to Formula 2 in that 28 car we have seen driven by Nikita Bedrin and also Freddie Slater, which was on the podium at Bahrain last time out. He won the Euro Formula Open title last season, so comes in with a lot more confidence than what he would have had in his last stint in Formula 3. And Brad Benavides will certainly be
hoping to see if he can actually keep up. Hello everybody, and welcome back up to the booth as Formula E Running Long has disjointed all of our systems, and with me running solo today in the commentary box, we have to make sure that all the streams are set up because we've got the World Superbikes on in around about 20 minutes time. I'm just about alongside me in the commentary box. Tom Cairns. Hello Tom, nice to see you again my friend. And here we go then for Formula 3, back in action for their third round of the championship after Bahrain, and a lot of interest coming in to this one, a few returning drivers, and hopefully we're going to see another fantastic round as we hit Europe for the first time.
Yes, absolutely. We've got drivers heading around just doing their first set of runs in this practice session. They do have 4 sets of tyres, dry tyres that is, for the race weekend, so they don't want to go through them too much, hence why we've not seen too much action out on circuit at this stage. But like you say, there are a couple of returnees or a couple of drivers making their first appearances of the season in FIA Formula 3. We've got Brad Benavides and James Headley, who are both in place of Javier Segura and Freddie Slater. Freddie Slater putting on a really good show in Bahrain for AIX Racing. He's got a busy schedule ahead of his campaign with GB3 and the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, so he's very much one to look out for. Will he be in Formula 3 next year? My guess is that he will be, depending on how he gets on in the championships, of which I've just mentioned. Dave in this session, it's Ivan Domingos who's fastest on a 1:35.5, ahead of Nicolas Lecourt by a 10th of a second, with Brad Benavides, who's competing in the support series for the first time since he competed in Formula 2 a couple of years ago.
Just watching Headley coming through the Variante Alta down towards Ravazza's 1 and 2. First sector's looking okay with some personal best lap times as well. Sector 2 up, a little bit of a lock-up as it goes downhill past the houses, that line this circuit as well. It very much feels almost like a street circuit at the end of the lap over the line, which has been reprofiled since we ran here in the early 2000s, and it's 8th fastest of the time, last of the runners so far as well for James Headley. It's a 1:36.947. This very much could be the last time we race at Imola. Stefano Domenicali says that it's hard to keep 2 races in Italy, despite the fact that we can keep 3 races in America as well. I'm a bit worried, actually, as well, Tom, that we're losing quite a lot of the European races. We're already down to just a few, and we don't even have a French Grand Prix, a German Grand Prix. I don't know, keeping Emilia Romagna keeps us in Italy and keeps us in this region, which we've been in since the 1980s.
Well, this is the thing, you know, we're losing European venues. We're losing Zandvoort after next year, aren't we? We're losing Spa for some of the years. It's expected to make, well, I say it's expected. In a few years' time, it'll be alternating. And we've got Barcelona, which is due to host the Spanish Grand Prix for the last time this year. Will it be on the calendar for the remainder? In my honest opinion, I doubt it. And yeah, it doesn't feel great, really, when we're losing some of the European venues, which are cheaper to run when you think of it because of the logistics involved. But now, the fact that we're going to America, you know, 3 times a year at different circuits, and with the potential of moving across to Asia and maybe a Grand Prix in Africa one day, which I would be all for.
Yeah,
I don't like losing some of what we already got with the European venues, which are a huge pillar of the Formula 1 fraternity.
We generally do run the risk of just having Spa alternating, Silverstone, Monaco and Austria being the only ones, because even the Italian Grand Prix at Monza is also under risk as well. So there's a lot of nervousness in the air, but literally, we've only got a few on the actual calendar now. It's the we used to make a big deal, it's the European season. It's round 7. That's the first time we've hit Europe. That's ridiculous. So we got Imola, Monaco this year. Then we go Barcelona, Red Bull Ring, Silverstone. But then after that, it's just Spa and Hungary. And then it's technically Zandvoort as well. So we've got 8 races in Europe. Not really the big spring of the net, is it? We don't even go far beyond. I think the furthest we actually go is Italy. That's it.
And just to correct myself, it's fraternity, not fraternity. I don't know why I said fraternity there. I was meant to say part of the Formula 1 fraternity. Yeah. These tracks are being part of, so but I do apologise for that. But Noleon's just gone fastest with 134.7. Yeah, it would be a shame for Imola to go off the calendar. I love this race. It's one of my favourite circuits in the world. I would understand why Formula 1 would want to move away from it. The track is at the moment probably too narrow for the modern day Formula 1 cars, but I think if the cars got narrower and lighter, it would be more suited. Whereas if you look at Formula 3, they're some of the best racing cars to go around here, especially with the new car for this year that they've been running compared to previous. The drivers love it, and from some of the racing we had in Bahrain, especially the sprint race, it was some of the best racing they've ever seen. Yeah. And we need to have more of that. If Formula 3 can demonstrate that here at Imola, then, you know, Formula 1's got to ask itself some questions as to, okay, what do we need to do to make cars like what Formula 3 are? Not necessarily the speeds of it, but just to perform in a way where they'll be able to overtake each other without the aid of DRS.
Maybe even hopefully do enough this weekend to keep Imola on the circuit going forward as well. 24 races, I can think of several I would rather delete from the calendar, to be fair. And some of them we've already had so far this year as well. And a little bit of a slack for Zagazita coming out the last corner there, getting a wheel on the exit curb of Ravazza. Goes up third fastest though with a 134.999, beaten. And now up the order to fourth because Brandon Dives moves up into third. Noleon, as Tom said, is fastest at the moment by a tenth and a half. 25 minutes to go in this one. Then we'll have Formula 2 up next. And for an hour's break and Formula 1. Reminder on JBMotorsports 2, you've also got the World Superbikes first session. As we now take a look at Ugo up in towards the Variante Alta, and Ugo Chu just jumping over the sausage curbs, Tolman, to go for a little bit of a flight there in the McLaren-sponsored Prema.
Yeah, we're gonna see quite a lot of that this weekend, I think. Ugo Chu getting high on the yellow sausage curbs, one of which I don't particularly love, and I'm sure a lot of fans don't either. But Ugo Chu surviving there, and living to fight another day. Here is the Campos. Just seeing who that is. That's the number 10. That has to be Mari Boya, the Spaniard, who's in his third season in this championship. And he really needs a strong year if he's going to progress up the ladder. Hopefully to Formula 2, depending on where his targets are. So we've got 4 drivers who have yet to set a representative lap time at the moment. Tuka Tappan has just gone up to P2 in the ART. I did tip him to become champion this season, Tuka Tappan, and he's absolutely strong, and he could well find himself as a Formula 2 driver this year if he can keep up with his performances. Nicola Leclerc going fast as the track is picking up with 24 minutes to go. Rafa Kamara with his first representative lap time of the session of 134.9 for the Trident driver, the championship leader, the winner of both feature races in 2025. He's looking ever so strong. The man backed by Ferrari. Martini Estenchon over the line to go on a 134.5. And yeah, he's another one to look out for. The man part of the McLaren setup as well. Roman Belinsky, another one of those going up the order. And Luca Badoa on home turf going to the top of the timing pages.
You've done what I did as well. Brando Badoa, Luca's son. I keep saying Luca Badoa as well. It's so ingrained in my mind.
It's Brando Badoa, yeah. I don't know why.
I've done it too.
I don't know why that. Yeah.
So many times this year in Australia, I was saying it every 5 seconds because you're so ingrained. We grew up with Luca Badoa making his return to Formula 1 in 2009, so it's always installed in us. a little bit much more. But yeah, it's his son Brando Badoa. Snaz following Trubazak going wide, coming up in towards Toza after the Villeneuve chicane. And it's getting both rear and front right off the curve. On the front left as we look at it now. As Khan Vozin does whack out that barrier down at Variante Alta.
Yeah, I wonder if they may red flag the session just to put that bollard back, because they don't like drivers. Because the thing is, when they knock bollards over like that, they change the way they attack the corners, and they can gain an advantage because of it. So I wonder if they may put out a red flag just to put that bollard back in place.
Staying green at the moment. Let's see. There's not a lot through that sector. Trying to work it out right now. A few drivers in Sector 2 just starting. But a bit of it. We don't get a driver tracker in Formula 3 or Formula 2 or Porsche Super Cup. You very much only get the timing tower, so it's always hard to tell who's where, despite the fact that all cars are fitted with a transponder. It's just like it's not being made public to the media, which is annoying. Even Alex Jakes has said about how difficult it is doing Formula 2 and Formula 3 without a driver tracker. Of course, he's now only solely on Formula 1. We'll get to Alex later in the Formula 1 when we hear from him on the commentary during the ad breaks, because very brilliantly he and his lovely wife have had a little baby girl in the past week as well.
It's wonderful to see. And just to announce as well, before I put it on my socials, that the latest episode of Cairns Catches Up will feature Alex Jakes on Wednesday, 7 PM British Summer Time. So I'll let you know when it's out, or when it's out on the socials, and then you can pay a visit to watch the podcast on Wednesday evening next week.
Always
which
a
will
fun
be quite
one
a fitting time.
You've got all the big ones at the moment. You're Crofty now, and you've got all the commentators so far.
Yeah, so I've got Alex Jakes coming up. I've got Simon Taylor a couple of weeks after that. In case you don't know who Simon Taylor is, it's an F1 historian. Then it's who else is after that? It's Chris McCarthy, who of course is in the commentary position this weekend for Formula 2. And the last one will be a karting commentator and sports car commentator. That is Alex Goldschmidt. We've just seen Santiago Ramos in the Van Amersfoort Racing getting out of shape on the exit of the second part of Ravazza, but is able to survive, and goes up to 4th place, but of course he did lose time as Rafa Kamara continues to set the pace.
Yeah, Kamara top 133.433. Great time there to Hickampton Jimenez over the line. Is he going to be an improvement? He's revving up in 5th gear, goes second fastest, half a second down, screws up much. Kamara did a brilliant that time. Yeah, Alex Goldsmith, you said, oh, brilliant, you've got Alex in as well. Absolutely wonderful, by the way, podcast. I've been listening to them as well on an evening. Catching up. I'm just halfway through Ben's episode at the moment. Always the classics. I do enjoy Ben's commentary.
It's brilliant.
I wish we could get him on for a weekend. If I ever was ill or needed a replacement, I would immediately want Ben in the booth, calling the action. I think he'd have a blast personally as well.
Yeah, I would as well. It's just, would he dedicate his time to do it? That's the thing.
If I know one thing about motorsport commentators, especially what Ben said in the past, I'm sure he told you the same. You can never not get enough of commentating. It's like an itch you need to scratch the back of your head. So I'm sure he'd hop on and help. Our styles very much match, apparently, as well. And people have often said that with the commentary style. As there's that slide again coming out of Ravazza 2. Just very much kept it in straight line. He was losing it, actually, Ramos, but in mid-corner, wasn't he, Tommy? The rear stepped out, and now we see Gerard G off and up at Aqua Minerale.
Yeah, so that is a kick of oversteer mid-corner there for Gerard G. There's another one of those to look out for this year. I'm really looking forward to see how he gets on. So far this season, as far as Gerard G's championship is concerned, the Chinese driver, he's finished all 4 races so far with the best finish of 16th in Australia. So let's see if he can improve that this time round here with his first points in this championship. 30 drivers, 10 teams, and yeah, we are gearing to go. I tell you what, the one thing that surprised me the most this year in regards to their performance are Prema.
Yeah.
Just 2 points on the board so far this season. The team who have won 5 out of 6 championships in FIA Formula 3, you know, the bottom of the team's championship of the 2 rounds, whilst Trident, their closest rivals really, are running away with it.
Just like last year when Formula 2 got a new car, Prema takes a year or so to get used to it, and that's exactly what's happening here in FIA Formula 3. They are very much down on the order after the opening 2 rounds of the season. They're hoping that on home soil they can bounce back up the order. Currently in this session, they are 5th with Ugo, Bedoya is 9th, and Leon 10th. So all 3 cars top 10.
Yeah, well, Alessandro Giusti, who is part of the Williams setup, I believe, is in P2. Rafa Kamara, well, it's safe to say that he's continuing to find time every flying lap he is doing. This is the consistent thing about being a Formula 3 driver, is it's just continuing that run of form. You do a flying lap, consistent, then you do a cool lap, and then go again. It just feels like every time he's on a flying lap, Rafa Kamara is always improving, and that's a great sight for Ferrari, who are looking to add another one of their academy drivers to a Formula 1 race C, wherever that may be. Kamara continues to set the pace.
So we're going to hand back to the World Feed quickly while I need to go check on the Superbikes start time. That might have shifted, so we'll hand back over to Chris McCarthy.
He's P1 in the championship, and we spoke to him about how it feels to be leading the way in this Formula 3 season.
Yeah, I think it's always nice to be in the first place. I think something that gives you some confidence, but at the end of the day, I think we just focus to do the basics well. Especially to win a championship, you always need to be consistent. Even sometimes, if you cannot win a race or just arrive there to have some points for, it's a bit frustrating, but it's what you need to win the championship. So. Still quite early, we did only 2 rounds, but of course, always when you hit the track, you want to be fighting for P1, but we're going to see tomorrow where we are and walk from there.
Comes across very measured, doesn't he? Rafa Kamara is a driver who has championship winning experience. He's someone who has always been fighting for podiums, and sensible in his answers there. He does know that there's still a long way to go. This triple header, we spoke about this before we came in, this triple header could see drivers as far down as outside 20 from the championship really elevate themselves up into the fight. I think Rafa Kamara knows that.
It's been a very mixed start to the year. I was doing a bit of looking at the previous results as we see the 22 running wide. That's Ivan Dominguez going very heavily over the curbs on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. But back on the championship, it's been a bit of a mixed season so far. We've only had 4 races so far, and another big moment. Is Ivan Dominguez? Maybe it was. He's pushing the limits, pushing the limits of that VAR car. But anyway, the championship's been very mixed up. Of the top 5 drivers in the championship, so Kamara, Tramnitz, Voisin, Stromstead and Solo, none of them have finished all 4 races. None of them have, they've all got a DNF or a non-classification, and no one in the whole field has had point scores.
Yeah.
And you were saying to me just ahead of air, I don't want to take your stat here, but if someone were to take 4 points away this weekend who hasn't scored any points, they could feasibly come away from this championship, come away from this round leading the championship.
It's one of those things, isn't it? We could see Tim Tramnitz only has 30 points, and that's you get 28 if you get pole the win in the fastest lap. So that's just to put it into context that this is still very close this season. Rafa Kamara's dominance out front so far has been clear, and he is showing why he is leading this championship with the pace he's got in this practice session. But it is still very much up for grabs, and this triple header is a key part of this season, and I think we have to put it into context, Piers. It's a key part of Formula 3 drivers' careers. We've seen how quickly drivers have gone through the ranks in Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1. They know the teams are watching out there. Kamara is a driver who's supported by Ferrari. Tramnitz is a driver supported by Red Bull. Giusti is a driver supported by Williams, and there we can see the Ferrari logo on Kamara's car. whether you're part of an F1 academy already, whether you're trying to become part of an F1 junior program, they know in this Formula 3 Championship you have a really good season and you're on the routes, you're on the road to F1. It can be a key part of your season, a key part of your career.
You're in the shop window.
Yeah.
We're on the Formula 1 weekends, of course, Formula 2 and Formula 1 this weekend, and these drivers, some of them already on the books of the Formula 1 teams, those who aren't want to be and I'm sure will be in the future. Good results like Kamara has shown so far, what you want to do. So we look forward to seeing how it all plays out this weekend.
Well, there we can see Tim Tramnitz. We've got all the cars in the pit lane currently, getting ready to go back out onto the Imola circuit, and it's the Imola circuit we spoke to Tim Tramnitz about yesterday.
Probably not the ideal start for us. A bit unlucky in the sprint in Melbourne. A solid feature race in Melbourne, I would say. And then again, we wasted a bit of our potential in qualifying in Bahrain, which was my mistake. But yeah, if we look at the championship, I think where we are right now, probably if everything would have gone right, we'd still be in P2, maybe with a couple of more points, but position would still be the same. So yeah, I'm still quite relaxed. I think the most important is to just focus on myself, get my qualifying together, to be at least in the top 12, ideally in the top 5, as the race pace seemed to be quite strong in both rounds. I think 2 years ago in Freca I had a pole position here as well, so hopefully I can repeat this. But I really like the track. It's a very technical track and not very easy. Also, it will be quite interesting to see how it will be with a new car on the curbs, because the curbs are quite a big factor on this track. So yeah, some things to see in practice, but I was really looking forward to this race weekend here in Imola.
Yeah, and I think as well, Tim is a bit used to this circuit. He's done it in a couple of other series, hasn't he, Tom? I think that's the benefit of when we're now hitting Europe and these drivers have now raced in these circuits in previous categories. The likes of Freca that have run here, of course, several times as well. And they just got, it's a little bit of knowledge that gives them drivers just a tiny bit more confidence to push the throttle down early on compared to what we've seen at other circuits, say like at Bahrain and in Australia, where they had to very much coax into the weekend with only that single 45-minute session.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And looking at his previous record, he's finished on the podium in the sprint race last year, did Tim Tramnitz for MP Motorsport. And if he can use that experience, he's got a good chance of another strong outing here this weekend. He's also competed in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine for RHGP and for Trident. And looking at the ADC Formula 4, just to see if he actually competed at Imola when he was racing over in that. ADAC Formula 4 no longer a thing these days. Has he raced in Italian Formula 4 at Imola? He has not, but he has at least raced a number of times around this circuit, and he knows the place very, very well. I'm sure of that. There's Tim Tramnitz, and he's making this look like he's owning it so far, even though he's not actually the fastest. It does look like he's got a good handle on the circuit. We go on board with him as he begins a flying lap.
Down and towards turn number 1 and 2 at Tamburello, and the rear of the car stepping out with a bit of oversteer as well. He's good at the exit as he heads down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Breaks down, 5th gear, mid-corner change down 4, then again to 3. After a little bit wide, she comes up in towards Tozer. 2nd gear corner. He's got all, yeah, he did go down to 2nd, but I thought I had an extra clunk. Mid-corner, up now, sort of top of the hill, Variante Alta. Got a little bit wide of the exit, keeps it down together. Yellow flags out somewhere as we come to enter 10, 11 and 12, the Acqua Minerale. Gravel at the exit.
Yeah, sorry, the green flag's gone now. I just wonder where they might have gone off, but no, I think that's just someone having a bit of a moment and continuing. It must be down over the Variante Alta, because I've just seen a flashing light on the Marshall board there.
Yeah, there's no one there.
Yeah, I reckon someone's has gone through the gravel at Variante Alta.
We'll keep an eye out if we get a replay. Down in towards Ravazza. Downhill braking. You can easily cook your brakes as you hard from flat out from Variante Alta all the way down there. Good through the exit of Raptor 2 up towards the line. So he's on the harder compound tyre, and he improves time, not position. So still 133.
Yeah, well, at least he improved in the last sector, did Tim Chemnitz, because he didn't exactly find all the time in the world. You've just seen, I think that's Roman Belinsky in the number 25 that's coming through, past some back markers. Yeah, he got held up at Akron Minerales, so he's had to back out of it. You could just see the traffic. If there's one place to get stuck in traffic, Akron Minerales is the worst place to get it, because you have to carry that rhythm all the way through the narrower part of the course, and you're just praying that there's no one ahead of you that could potentially get in the way. As we see a replay here, there's a little bit of nature with giving a little bit of a way to Brad Benavidez as he goes by at Tamborelli Corner. Has he picked up an issue or something, Brad Benavidez? Or is that just him? Yeah, he's very slow, but I don't know if he's just doing it to move out of the way of cars coming through. That'll be something for the loggers to take note of for the weekend, as far as nature is concerned. My colleague Dom, who will be on duties for this weekend, I'm obviously back down there for Monaco. But into Puvasak in the Campos, coming down towards the double left-hander of Rivatsa, the man who has impressed, it has to be said, with his performances so far this season. He aims to continue that here, and he will go over the line. I think it'll be a 133, like we've seen what the number drivers do, and it is a 133, so 133.9 for Taz into Puvasak.
Nice, better time as he comes through then as well, moving up the field. Nolly on over the line in 16th place. Is he going to be improved? Badoa back to 6th. What does his teammate do? Up to 4th place. 3/10 off the pace. Much, much better as well. Okay, session about to start for World Superbikes. We'll be back in a moment.
You do not want weaving past there, and we do not want impeding either as well. So a couple of things to note, and something that we always get the information from in the race director's notes. There we see the Premier Racing team watching on. I think they'll be happy with what they're seeing so far. They've got Noel Leon up there in the top 10, Brando Badaware as well on his home race. Rafa Kamara, the one they're all trying to chase down, and that's a familiar sentence. There's that 100-metre board, the blue board that we were talking about. So he's going quick up once again, purple sector 2. But Alessandro Giusti is right behind him in the blue Williams colours. They're both going to come to the line now. Del Pino is 8th. Kamara is fastest. What about Giusti? P2. He's having some practice session. Alessandro Giusti, the young Frenchman, 2nd place so far for him.
Yeah, Giusti with a good lap there. He's looked quick at various points this year. We're jumping back on board with Tim Tramnitz. I don't know whether it looks like he's got a new set of tyres on now. He's gone purple in the first sector, so Tramnitz was 2nd until a couple of moments ago, but looking pretty hooked up on this lap. We join him as we enter the final sector, into the Variante Alta. Personal best middle, but not quite purple. Over the curve. Good run through the chicane there. Plenty of traffic up ahead. We'll keep an eye. Oh no, that's, yeah, you can see frustrated, and rightly so. Those cars completely blocking the circuit. Just to the right-hand side of the shot there, that blue 100-metre board there, that is the one we were speaking about. That's where in the race, the drivers after a safety car must be single file, no weaving, and in qualifying, you must not be on the racing line going slowly. So Tramnitz rightly disappointed with that. As much as the lap time won't be where he wanted it to be, he'll be encouraged by the fact that he was quick on the new tyre run, especially in that first sector. Getting the tyres fired up and working straight away is super important in qualifying, as it'll only be 1 or 2 flying laps, I imagine, on the tyres for these drivers. It looks like he's going to go again to see what he can do on the 2nd lap on the new tyres. We'll keep an eye on the times for now, but let's have another look at this incident.
Yeah, here we go. So the road was completely blocked, wasn't it? Yeah, nowhere to go.
Yeah, that was a bit of a miscommunication there from the drivers ahead. There was 2 drivers going slowly. It looks like is that a VAR on the left there? Can't pick up the number.
Campos on the right.
Yeah, Campos on the right. Is that Boyer on the right-hand side, potentially?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm speculating.
Oh, well, that might be the end of the session anyway. So Ugo Ugochukwu is off, and he's rear-facing coming out of Villeneuve. And I think the tyre tracks are going to tell us the story, maybe into a wheel into the gravel and round. But that will be the end of that. Ugo Ugochukwu is out of the session. And he will go no further, and I don't think anyone will in this one with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. The clock keeps ticking. Let's find out what happened is.
We ride on board with Ugo Ugochukwu for Premier here. Let's see how this incident starts. It's a tricky corner here, Villeneuve. A lot of speed for the first, but a bit of a wobble there, hit the curb. car's moving around a lot. He's just a bit greedy on the power, I think. After the couple of wobbles he had at the first part of the corner, got on the power as if nothing had happened and ran into the gravel and did what Santiago Ramos did a few laps ago, but this time a bit, tried to keep his foot in, demolished the polystyrene board and a small tap with the barrier. I don't think there'll be any huge damage. The team will check the car over, but a mistake there from Ugochukwu. He was pushing on. You could see the car was moving around in the first part of the corner, so he's either pushing on a potentially used set of tyres or really hustling a new set of tyres to try and get the best lap time. Didn't look particularly comfortable behind the wheel as the car was, you know, effectively he would turn in, then he'd have to turn away and turn in again, and unfortunately just pushed a bit too hard there, but it'll potentially dent his confidence a little bit going into qualifying.
So into the barrier backwards with a spin that we've seen even Nikita Mazepin do in a similar part on the circuit as well. Unfortunately as well, Tom, just a red flag at the early end of the session.
Yeah, I think Yuri Vips had an accident there in one of the races a few years back when he was racing in Formula 2. But yes, Ugochukwu getting too far out of shade, got greedy on the throttle, as Piers Pryor rightly mentioned on the World feed. The session won't be resumed, which is no surprise because we've got less than a couple of minutes to go and there's not enough time for the marshals to get that clear before sending cars back out on the racetrack. But it's been a positive session for Rafa Kamara, carry on where he left off from Bahrain by setting the fastest time in practice. Not that it will mean anything, but it's something to be encouraged by. And not to mention, there'll be a new pole position award for both Formula 2 and Formula 3 from Imola onwards. So that is a great thing. I'm happy for that because I think if you do get pole position around the circuit, considering the competition you're going up against, I think it's nice that, you know, basically, I think is it Aramco who was sponsoring that?
I think so.
To give the pole position. It's nice that they've given something back for their efforts, really, because it is very hard to get a pole position anywhere around any circuit in any series that you do. And Rafa Kamara, well, he's a top talent, isn't he? I don't know how many times you've seen him, but he's unbelievably consistent.
I think he's going to be the champion-elect this year as well, and definitely be already signed up with that Ferrari Driver Academy program to go up into the Formula 2 category next year. Now, we haven't mentioned a lot about high-tech and their problems, so we're trying to keep that for the F1 because it directly affects Ollie Oakes, who is the former team principal now at Alpine. There's a lot to talk about there as well when we get into the show. In fact, there's multiple stories to keep us across of practice here today, so make sure you join us once more for that one. We're a limited team today with everybody here, there and everywhere, but back in Europe now, so everybody else is more affected with their day-to-day lives of work. So Friday will become a little bit difficult, but I'm delighted to say that throughout the rest of the European season, Megan will be joining us in the commentary box for all of the sessions. So it will never just be me solo. And Tom's with us again this weekend for his fourth event now in the commentary box, as far as I know, and Jess will be with us across the weekend as well as Omi. As you've even, I think, have you got Frecker and GP3 this weekend as well? You double booking everything, or are you just staying with the F1s?
In regards to commentary, or in regards
commentary.
to what my jobs are. Well, commentary this weekend is obviously F1, F2, F3. I think Porsche Super Cup is the other one, which I said I would help Omi with on Sunday, and that's about that. I'm not doing Formula E this weekend because of the time scale, and you know, I need to make sure that I'm fine for it. I'll probably watch the race when I wake up, or if I do happen to stay up, as we run through the final classification of the practice session of FIA Formula 3 at Imola.
So it's Rafa Kamara on top from Alessandro Augusti as well in second, Tim Trumanats in third, Callum Bolton in fourth, Mari Boyer fifth, Roman Belinsky in sixth, Nolly on seventh, James Headley eighth, Bruno DePino in ninth, and Charlie Verns impressing everybody, rounding out that top 10 as well. Now it's John Stead from Nicholas Solov, Brando Badoa was top but drops down, then Theo Tharnal in 14th, Tasman Cruz at 15th, Martin Steinshaw in 16th, Louis Sharp in 17th, Ugo Gujuru in 18th, Lawrence Van Hope in 19th, Santiago Ramos in 20th, Tuka Tappan in 21st, with Ivan Dominguez in 22nd, and Nicola Lacourte is in 23rd, Jared Z 24th, Brad Menendivez in 25th, Nicola Maningal as well in 26th, Christian Hodge in 7th, Matteo Sakazita 28th, Joshua Dufert 29th, and James Walton in 30th position as well. And Omi, there, ha, told you I could do it. Omi was butchering me after Australia as I missed Bahrain due to other series. Me and Omi are very much tag teaming the F2 and F3 this weekend. I'm doing the Friday, he's got the Saturday, and then I'm back on the Sunday as well across the Motorsport series. We both get one sprint and one feature each across the series. Next up though, it will be the Formula 2 action to venture out onto the circuit as well. So be sure to join us, as that is the wrong circuit, that is Barcelona. So it looks like OBS did say what I did yesterday as well, going for it, and it's not even working. Okay, well, we're not in Barcelona, but we'll see you next time for the action. Bye-bye.